This is a quick slidecast to teach you about social media and social networking and how that can be beneficial in your job search. The things that we're going to cover today in this slidecast include this generation of traditional college students. We'll talk about what networking is and what it isn't. We'll also talk about why social media is so important today, and I'll give you some tips on how to make the most of your social image and give you some tips on how to clean up your social media profiles. So today's college students, those who are of traditional age, are often connected to something all the time. They are either connected to a laptop, or they're on an iPad or an iPod, or they're on Facebook, or they're on Twitter, or they're on Pinterest. Those are things that are just common to students nowadays. And employers are understanding this and realizing this and are actually tapping into social networking and social media to reach students and to check on potential candidates. So it's really, really important that you have a strong professional image online. These are just some interesting facts that represent sort of today's traditional college student, and it demonstrates why technology is such a big part of their lives. For example, ever since traditional college students were born, they have had the internet. So it's just something that's normal to them. I did not have the internet until I was in college. So it's something that I've only had for, about 15 years or so. Or at least it's been a big part of my life for about 15 years. Music has always been available for free online via downloads for this generation. This generation's always had cellular phones, and texting's always been available. They've always had MySpace and Facebook. And even though MySpace isn't around anymore, it's still something that students would recognize. So those are some reasons why technology is so important to students today, because they've always had it. So what is networking? Networking really is looking at who you know and the connections that you already have and how those people can help you in your job search or your career development. In addition, it's finding new people with whom you can connect with so they can also help you with your career development. But networking goes both ways. So you don't want to just think, what can I get from these people, but you also want to think, what can I give to these people? So make sure that you're also giving back through the networking process, so you're not just always taking, because people aren't going to be very appreciative of that, and they're not going to be as willing to help you. So why is this so important? 70 to 90% of jobs and internships that are available at any given time are not posted anywhere. They're not on a job board, they're not in a newspaper, they're not on a company's website anymore. So instead, these positions are being filled through networking. Most positions are filled through internal promotions, and then those that are not filled internally are filled through referrals. So employers are asking around, hey, do you know anyone who has these qualifications? And when individuals are referred to them, then they're contacting those referrals rather than reaching out to strangers. So that's why it's so important that you utilize your network and you try to build your network further so you have as many connections as possible to help you with your job search. So, who's in your network? First, advocates. Advocates are people you know really well. So these are probably going to be people like your parents, other family members, your best friends, your parents' best friends. So those people who know you really well and would be willing to do anything for you. Likewise, you would be willing to do anything for them. So these are going to be your easy contacts, people that you can really count on to help you with your job search and to help you figure out what career path might be a good fit for you. Next, we have associates, and associates are people you know pretty well. These might be colleagues or friends, or maybe your parents of your friends. So people you know pretty well, you just don't know them quite as well as advocates. You would feel comfortable asking them if they know anyone in a specific industry you could talk to, or if they've heard of any specific job openings, but they may not be as willing to do anything for you as your advocates would. Next, we have acquaintances, and acquaintances are people you know pretty well, but you don't have an extremely strong relationship with. So these might be people, or maybe you don't even know them that well, you just know them. These might be people such as people you sat next to in class. They could be colleagues that you see in the hallway and you say hi to every day, but you've never really had a full conversation with. So people you know that you could approach and you could start a conversation with, you could further develop that relationship with, but you just don't know them really well. And then finally, we have strangers. And strangers obviously are people you don't know yet, but strangers can be really valuable resources in your network. So there are a lot of different ways that you can meet strangers and establish relationships with strangers who then can help you with your job search. Some of those ways include one, doing informational interviews. Informational interviews allow you to gather information about a specific job, about a specific industry, or about a specific organization. You find a person who is in a position in which you are interested, and you contact them and ask for 20 to 30 minutes of their time and go in and ask them questions about their job. Talk to them about what they like about their job, what they find challenging, the skills that are necessary to be successful in that job, things like that. And through that informational interview, you've now met a new person, a stranger, who has now become part of your network. Second, you can go to career fairs. There are a lot of career fairs on campus each year, and you should definitely take advantage of those. Each career fair brings anywhere from 25 to over 100 employers on campus who are seeking quality candidates. And their sole purpose for being here is to meet you, to meet students to fill job and internship positions. So definitely take advantage of those career fairs. Every employer that you meet at that career fair has now become part of your network. So you can see how that would be a great way to meet strangers who then can become part of your network. Next, they become acquaintances, and as you continue that relationship, they may even become associates. Next, I would encourage you to join the Alumni Association. Alums are great people to access to become part of your network, and at KU there's a Student Alumni Association that has a reduced membership fee, and you can attend events and get connected to KU alums who could definitely help in your job search process. I also encourage you to join student organizations. Again, at KU we have over 600 student organizations, so there's something out there for everyone. By joining those organizations, you want to attend the meetings, you want to be actively involved in their service projects. You really want to take advantage of that membership and not just sit back and be passive. You want to be active. If you can get a leadership role in that club or organization, definitely do so. Chambers of Commerce could also be very beneficial, especially if you're wanting to relocate. You could contact the Chamber of Commerce to maybe try to set up informational interviews or just figure out the different companies that are available in the fields in which you're interested. And finally, you might consider joining professional associations that are related to the field in which you're interested. And you can go to kucareerhawk.com and view our careers and KU majors pages to find specific professional associations related to your major or field of interest. And professional associations often also have a reduced membership fee for students, and through being part of that organization, you can attend events, conferences, workshops, you can be part of the newsletter, you can be part of LinkedIn groups, and it's a great way to get connected to people who are in your industry. And of course, you can also use social media to help develop your network as well. Through Facebook, through Twitter, through LinkedIn, you can get connected to new people. You can follow people who are in the industry in which you're interested. You can link with people through LinkedIn. You can follow Facebook feeds. So these are all ways that you can get connected through social networking and social media and build your network. This is just kind of a map of some different social media outlets that are available. A lot of these you'll be really familiar with, but it just demonstrates the vast array of options that are out there online to help you get connected. It used to be that first impressions were actually made face-to-face, as this picture represents. You would meet somebody in an interview or maybe at a career fair, and your first impression and their first impression of you would be through a face-to-face meeting. Yes, of course, still today we have the career fairs and the interviews, but a lot of times now that first impression is actually received online. When employers are interested in a candidate, a lot of times they will do a Google search for candidates to find out what they can see online. So that's kind of the new first impression. And that's why, like this little comic represents why it's so important that you clean up your social networking profiles. The comic says, "We no longer look at resumes, we go straight to your Facebook page." Well, of course, employers are still looking at resumes, but a lot of times, in addition, they are Googling or going to Facebook pages to find more. The 5-to-1 ratio basically means for every one negative piece of information found online by an employer, it takes 5 kind of positive or good pieces to trump that one negative piece. So that's really important. So keep your profiles clean, and I'll give you some tips on how to do that here in just a minute. 70% of employers have actually said that they have not hired somebody based on information that they found online. That's a pretty high percentage, so this is really important, and I can't stress enough how much you need to maintain a positive image online. So, what do you think are the top 3 reasons employers have rejected a candidate based off of what they found online? Of course, there are a lot of negative things that can be out there online, but the top 3 include 1, alcohol and drugs. So this is a pretty famous example. This woman was a teacher, and this picture was posted on her Facebook page, and her administration found it, and she was actually fired for having this picture on her Facebook page. Second, employers do not appreciate racial comments online, and this is a good example. This is a college football player who had sort of a racially focused sentence on his Facebook page, and that really upset the athletic department, and he got into quite a bit of trouble. And then finally, employers do not appreciate improper grammar and punctuation online or via email. So this is an example that represents an email that was sent from a teacher to a parent, and every single red circle represented here is a grammatical or a grammar or punctuation error. So it is really important that you maintain proper grammar and punctuation online and via email. So a lot of times employers will do background checks throughout the job search process, and that's still common, but now a lot of times those background checks are being done via the internet. So they are, like I said, they are Googling candidates to find out if they're maintaining a professional image online. And that's why social intelligence is so important. That's basically understanding social media and social networking, how it can be a benefit to you and how it can be perceived negatively if you don't maintain a positive image. So, some people say, okay, this is just really complicated. I don't know how I'm going to keep my profiles clean. I'm just not going to participate in social media at all. I'm not going to have a Facebook page. I'm not going to have a Twitter feed. I'm not going to join LinkedIn. I'm just not going to participate. Well, that's probably not the best idea because one, social media is extremely popular. It's been around for a while now and it's probably not going anywhere. And employers are going to continue to use it. So you might as well just make sure that your social image is positive and keep using those methods of networking and connecting, but do it in an appropriate way. So when you do this though, there are a few things that you want to keep in mind. One, anytime you post something or you tweet something, you want to make sure that there's a purpose. So have a reason for everything that you post online. If you find an interesting article, That's okay, post it, because then there's a purpose. You're sharing information. If you're having a great day, that's fine. You can go ahead and share that, because again, there's a purpose. But you don't need to tell the entire world that you're having a hamburger for lunch. It's not really that relevant. It's not really that interesting. Also, think about context. Employers and people who see your posts are not going to know the context of your messages. So they're not going to understand inside jokes. They're not going to understand sarcasm. So keep those things in mind anytime that you're posting. Also, NMI is the new TMI, stands for not my information is the new too much information. So basically what that means is, even though something is not necessarily posted on your personal profile, if it's posted on someone else's, then some people think, well, that's not my information. That's not true, because you're still associated with that information. So it's really important that you make sure that you are not tagged in any photos that may be inappropriate, so or that you don't comment on a post that's inappropriate, because even if it's on somebody else's page, it may be found by employers, and then that's going to represent you in a negative way. So the best thing to do to see what's out there is to Google yourself. So take the time to Google your name, your email address, and your phone number. If we look at this example, first we get a LinkedIn profile, then we get a, looks like a book review, a white pages link. If we come down here, we get another book review, and then finally we get this lifeguard's Facebook page. So if we look at this, originally it doesn't look like, or initially, excuse me, it doesn't look like there's anything too bad out there about this person. But as we start clicking on these links and we get down to this lifeguard's Facebook page, when we click on it, we get all these pictures of parties, of alcohol, and finally of the specific person funneling a beer. So these are not very positive pictures, and if an employer found these and knew that this was the particular person that they were looking at or trying to find online, this person probably would not be hired. So Google yourself, set your settings as high as you possibly can. Set up Google alerts so you know anytime your name is posted online. And you can also set your Facebook settings to where anytime someone tags you in a photo, you have to approve it before that photo shows up with your name associated with it. So those are a few tips to on how to keep your image clean online. Now, if we look at these, we immediately know that this is the brand for Apple. This is Nike, we have McDonald's, and we also have LG. So without even thinking too much, we know exactly what these simple symbols represent. And we probably all also know the products that these symbols represent, or the products that these companies sell. So the reason we know that is that these organizations have done a great job with branding. And what you want to do is to do a great job of branding yourself as well. And you can definitely do that through social media. So a few tips to brand yourself appropriately and professionally. One, you might consider doing book reviews on books that you've read that are related to the industry that you're interested in. Because when employers search for you, these book reviews are going to pop up, and it's going to show that you are really interested in the topics that are associated with that industry, and that you've invested your time in reading these books and actually writing a book review. Through Twitter, you can actually follow people who are tweeting about interesting facts or articles related to the industry in which you would like to work. You can retweet those articles and tweets, and you can also tweet your own articles, interesting facts, etc. related to that industry. On Pinterest, you can create an industry-focused board, and you can pin specific things that you find interesting or relevant to that specific topic, and then other people, of course, can follow you, and employers can find that. You might want to consider having a blog, in which you blog about a specific area in the industry in which you feel that you're kind of an expert or you have something to offer. And then, of course, employers can see that and see your investment in that industry. And even if you don't start your own blog, or if you do, it's probably a good idea to start following blogs and RSS feeds that are associated with the industry in which you're interested as well. So those are a few tips to help you build your own personal professional brand. And then, of course, maybe most importantly, you also want to get involved with LinkedIn. You want to make sure that you have a strong professional profile on LinkedIn, because it really is a professional networking site. And once this slidecast is over, you'll need to click on a link on the course website to view another video, very short video, on how you can utilize LinkedIn to help you build your network.